Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Schwartzad again. I just spoke to you about substantial equivalency and the change to Education Law 3204. One of the things that I just wanted to spend a minute talking about further is the Felder Amendment. That's something that I mentioned briefly in the presentation. But for those of you who might be particularly interested in this topic, I thought I would spend a little more time, just another minute explaining that. So that is an amendment that was passed a few years ago, and it's designed specifically to apply to yeshiva institutions. And those institutions are single-sex Jewish schools that focus on teaching curricula directly tied to Jewish culture and a close review and study of religious texts. So under the existing regulations that were just, as I explained, promulgated in 2022 and took effect in 2023, for yeshivas or those schools controlled by the Felder Amendment, the school districts do not get the final say. As I mentioned, SED gets the final say on whether those schools meet the substantial equivalency standard, sorry, that's a mouthful, under those regulations. So school districts would make a recommendation, and then the New York State Education Department would make a final determination. It has been widely reported that SED has been critical of many yeshiva institutions and suggested that they aren't providing substantial equivalent education. And so that is reportedly the genesis of their upsetness related to that discretion being taken away from them in the new legislation. Because now if a yeshiva institution meets the requirements under the new subdivision 6 of 3204, the New York State Education Department will not have a say in that. It would just be automatic that that is determined that this instruction is substantially equivalent. So for anyone who's seen the news stories related to that, that has been reported as the genesis of that situation and why the Education Department has been upset with that. In terms of what to expect, I think it's possible there could be some litigation that will come forward related to, there was a pending litigation that was just heard before the New York State Court of Appeals, which was the highest court in New York, related to the regulations themselves. So the new legislation doesn't directly impact those regulations. However, I watched the argument, and many of the judges on the Court of Appeals suggested that their determination was no longer needed because now the legislation exists. So that is the decision hasn't come out yet, so we don't know what will happen. But it is a very heavily litigated area, and it will be interesting to see what happens in the future. So thank you, everybody, and take care.